So we're here with my friend Alex Staniforth doing our first Big Moose Periscope. So thank you for tuning in. And I'm very lucky to have Alex here in more ways than one, as a friend and also as an Everest survivor of 2015. So we met in 2014 on Everest, which was to be, unfortunately, at the time, the biggest accident that had ever been on Everest, with 16 Sherpas being killed and causing the mountain to be closed, and for you and I to come home with our dreams being extinguished. Having raised the money to go, and you're 19, you're 18 at the time, hoping to become the youngest Brit to actually summit, which I'm sure you would have done, but obviously we both had our dreams taken away from us. But you were extremely tenacious for an 18-year-old and managed to raise the money to go back to Everest this year. And I followed your path, and we communicated and kept in touch with each other, and I admired you getting out there, which was amazing. But obviously we're all kind of aware of what's happened. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview and just find out exactly what happened on Everest this year, because as we were chatting earlier, there are only going to be a few humans who actually have got this story in the whole wide world, and you're one of them. So it'd be great to capture really what exactly happened. So if you could just give us an idea on where you were and what happened at the time.
Sure. So I was going up to Camp 1, about 6,000 metres, just going through the Kumbu Icefall, which is kind of a serious part of the mountain where the 16 people died last year. I was absolutely exhausted at the time on my own, didn't actually feel the earthquake at all. I just heard some massive crack. And in the fog, you couldn't see more than probably 5 metres ahead of me. So I heard this roar coming towards me and not actually knowing where from. Couldn't run anywhere because there's crevasses.
Did you know it was an avalanche?
I knew something, but I thought it was out of my path. But I couldn't see anything, and suddenly I thought I escaped, but I realised I couldn't see it yet until it came and hit me straight in the face from the other side. Bear in mind, the icefall is surrounded on both sides by the west shoulder of Everest and an upsea on the other side. It's very avalanche prone. Normally it's only powder snow. Of course, that quake caused avalanches all over the area. And of course, that actually started the avalanche, which obviously flattened base camp and killed 19 people. Yeah. But at the time, in those kind of few seconds, you kind of hit by this kind of warm snow cannon of snow and wind, just absolutely blowing through you. And for those probably few seconds, you think you're dead. I was knocked onto my knees, couldn't see, couldn't breathe, panic attack, and you just generally think, oh, that's it, this is how I die.
So what went through your mind at that time? Because everybody talks about their past flashing before them. What actually did you think of when that happened? That's amazing.
My family, reacting to it, the fact that 16 people had died, and in seconds, ice was going to come and bury me.
You thought that was going to?
Yeah, without a doubt. There was no second, and it's a sickening fear that I've never felt before. And all of us felt the same. But after maybe 30, 40 seconds, I kind of flung my arms in the air, thinking I was going to have to be dragged and swim and try and stay afloat.
Yeah. So you'd learnt that.
I knew that was my only chance of survival, but there's nowhere to go but stand and take it. Fortunately, it was only powder snow, and after 30 seconds, I realised I'm still alive. I thought, I'm still here. I'm still standing in the same place. Of course, with probably a foot or two of snow on my feet. Yeah. And we'd been hit by the blast of the snow, not actually a serac fall, which would have killed us, undoubtedly. So I guess then it was a case of, right, I need to get to camp really quick because more are going to come. Yeah. It wasn't until I got to camp that I realised actually, what had actually happened. It wasn't just one avalanche. But at the time, it's just sickening, deathly white all around you. It's just, the force of it is unbelievable. My team were kind of spread out behind me. I presume they were dead because of the fact that I couldn't actually get them on the. I couldn't actually find on the walkie-talkie. Right. That had actually frozen. It was just actually broken by the force of the impact.
So you thought they'd been killed?
Yeah,
and you had
we
to
all
just
thought each other had.
Right, okay.
Got to Camp 1, nobody...
Were you roped up at the time?
I was on the ropes going as normal, so I kind of clipped back on. I stayed clipped in, thinking that, that would stop me being dragged into a crevasse. Yeah. And I guess that at the time, I obviously pulled on the rope, but the ropes were buried, so I had to obviously pull them out as I was going along. Yeah. She legged into camp, just never felt so much energy. I felt knackered all day.
Probably the adrenaline.
Yeah, our team didn't expect us to arrive in the fog. It was a lot of hugs and tears, and some of the guys that got there and they're in the 40s, 50s, much older than me, and they were broken to tears. The glasses, just kind of smashed in because of the force of the blast. Yeah. Gear swept away. Camp 1 unfortunately survived, apart from some of the tents which were just buried. No one was hurt up there. And I guess that was obviously when we realised, actually this was a lot bigger than we thought, and we'd actually probably been in the safest part of the mountain. But as I said, we all, each other, didn't think we would have survived. Yeah. And as that unravels, you really realise how serious it was. Yeah.
And so when you got down to base camp, and obviously you've got your team down there, your support team, when did it become apparent that you'd lost team members? Because I know that you lost 3.
We lost a climbing Sherpa and to the cook team, Sherpas, which was probably the saddest part of the whole thing for me. We basically got to camp and, within half an hour we were all up there, obviously shaken. And basically we then ran down to base camp, and our base camp manager, Henry, you could kind of see the relief in his voice that we were still alive, because he obviously knew that all avalanches would be falling everywhere. Yeah. And avalanches were flying at us from every side. We just couldn't see them. And basically he was then explaining that he'd obviously found Passentember. He could, die. This was his 20th Everest expedition. Cracking guy.
So this is one of your cooks.
Yeah.
Who was killed at base camp.
Yeah. He found him dead. Henry had narrowly survived by hiding behind a kind of altar of rock. Not much higher than maybe 3 foot high, and he'd still hurt his hand very badly. 2 of the other guys were, I think he said that Tenzing was dead at the time. Kumar was on oxygen, so in a serious way. And we obviously, when we ran Henry again, we later found he died as well. And I remember one of the guys in the team just screaming, just at the fact that he knew this guy so well. And, base camp people just doing their jobs. Base camp should not be dangerous. What happened was unprecedented. Yeah. People shouldn't die doing the jobs. Base camp should be safe. I think anybody above base camp understands the risks, but you don't expect them.
When you're there, you kind of feel like you're safe. It's when you get on the hill that this sort of danger kicks in.
I think when we kind of knew that,
should be.
I think as we knew then that our home on the mountain was gone. I mean, I remember hearing Henry's voice, and it's sort of blurred to me now for the shock of it all and the fear, but kind of hearing Henry's words, and all I recall were total destruction, complete mess. It's all gone, And when you hear that, you realise this. Oh, blimey, this is serious.
So when you actually got to base camp and the devastation, how did you find it yourself? What kind of things did you see there in base camp?
Well, we were stuck at camp 1 for 2 nights until helicopters could come and bring us down, because we then tried everything but realised that the route down through the icefall, which we come up, it's been completely, the whole route was obliterated. Right. The second day we had a big aftershock, so we're kind of sat in our tents, and of course we hear this roar, but again we're just like ducks in the pond. We can't go anywhere. And fortunately, that avalanche wasn't it wasn't large, but we sort of knew in our minds that Camp 1 had been destroyed by avalanches in the past. But there's nothing we could do. So we flew out 2 days later, and it took about 7 or 8 hours to get up the icefall. It took us 3 minutes to fly down. Actually 2 of us in a helicopter at a time. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know what to expect. It wasn't as bad as I expected at first, but we could sort of see stuff in the icefall in lower parts had been thrown 500 metres from camp, if not further, by the force of the wind that hit. And then, I've never seen such devastation before. It was like a plane crash. You didn't know where to start. And as we landed, just walking to base camp normally takes 15 minutes, took about 4:45. It was exhausting, I think, just from the dehydration and the shock and everything. But the things that we kind of expected, that we kind of knew by now, didn't arrive because they'd gone. So we never knew when our camp was going to arrive and if anything was going to be there. Yeah. 2 of our staff were airlifted with bad injuries, but fortunately they're okay now. And it's then we kind of realised that if we'd been at base camp, we would be dead without any doubt, or most of us wouldn't have survived because of the state of the way our tents were buried under feet of ice, kind of, just full of rocks the size of footballs, boulders, and our gear just smashed to bits, and that would have been us, and we would have survived as well. Yeah. I spent 2 days at base camp. Then we walked out over 4 days, so that by the time we got in, it wasn't in the way. And in that time, I couldn't do much to help because I was so exhausted. But we obviously walked around camp many times trying to find our gear that had just been obliterated, if not buried. Unfortunately, actually found most of that, but in the process, you know, obviously saw just people's belongings scattered. You know, some more kind of gory scenes. You know, of obviously bodies that were obviously like, you know, in wraps. You know, actually still obviously being flown out. Tents full of blood.
So the dead people were still there?
There were some people who hadn't been evacuated. Now that was pretty horrific. You know, finding tents full of blood, seeing kind of blood on the ground and rocks, seeing kind of crosses and shrines of people who died already. You know, and just thinking that this had such a great atmosphere. That morning, you know, on the 25th, when we left, it was a normal day. We never expected to come down to chaos. And until that point, the expedition had gone so confidently. We had a fantastic team. We could never imagine we'd come down to such devastation. But the thing is, across the pole, base camp was bad, but across the pole had just been obliterated. And I think we obviously saw that on our way out. And
so when you flew back, just so the people that are watching this can understand, so you had to fly back from Lukla?
Yeah.
By helicopter or plane?
Plane as normal. We didn't see
back to Kathmandu.
We didn't see any damage as we flew in. It was when we obviously went in town and then walked around that you saw.
Actually, in Kathmandu.
Kathmandu, certain areas were untouched, but then you go around the corner and it's just flattened.
Right.
And you just realise, you know, we've had a lucky escape, but people here will be suffering for a long time.
And as you said, there's 8,000 plus people that have been killed by the devastation.
Yeah, and I think it's so sad because, you know, it's a great place of people who give so much and they have such a small amount, and that's why right now they need our help because this will hit them long term. Tourism is a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think obviously now Everest has had 2 bad seasons and it's so unsafe now that it will put more, you know, in our future it will put them off and spending the money that they need.
Yeah, so really people need to be encouraged to actually go to Nepal
and
at the moment to help, but also to try and keep the tourist industry going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what have you got on the horizon now, and what are you doing? Because I know you're doing some great work with fundraising.
Well, I've been home 2 weeks now, and of course I should still be on Everest now, you know, but you know I'm not, and unfortunately I'm back home safe when many people aren't. So I guess because of that's kind of spurred me on that I've been spared for some reason. I need to obviously make sure that I kind of do something. Obviously now it's important. Yeah. You know, and that's worthwhile. So I've got my book, Icefall, which I'm working on.
You're writing a book?
Yeah, I'm working on that called Icefall, which will be out by Christmas.
That's quick.
Yeah, I've got a challenge ahead, but a lot of challenges.
Good Christmas present. So what's it called?
Icefall.
Icefall. Okay.
So that I've just started working on. That will tell the stories of not just one, but both of the biggest Everest disasters that I've been unfortunate. You know, that I've been involved in both, but I can certainly tell the story, and some of the percentage of profits will be
given to Nepal.
Yeah, to Nepal as well.
Okay.
So that will also help them.
Cool.
So I guess I've had to kind of find a new focus, you know, from Everest.
And the book's being your focus. And
I guess so, and of course more challenges. You know, I'm climbing the highest peak in South America in November called Aconcagua. Yeah. Something achievable, equally challenging, so that I have finally have a chance of reaching the top or something. Yeah. Yeah, so that should be exciting.
That's unlucky.
Fourth time.
Fourth time lucky.
It's my fourth expedition. So just you know, I guess I kind of like lost a lot of my drive and kind of confidence, but
you'll find it.
I've got the bug still. You know, I need to kind of have that kind of purpose. So there's that challenge, various other things. In a few weeks, I'm cycling the height of Everest in a day in vertical ascent.
Is that a fundraiser?
That's fundraising for the poor.
So how can people that are following Big Moose and people that are actually watching this transmission get in touch with you?
It's all about helping others. So basically, if you want to go on my site, alexstaniforth.com.
So it's Alex Staniforth,
Staniforth. Yeah, you know, it's always spelled wrong, so I'll spell it. Okay. staniforth.com.
Yeah.
On there you got my blogs and my links to all my stuff I do. Kind of obviously daft pictures and stupid videos of my kind of challenges and blogs and stuff and accounts. And
links
of course,
you're just giving?
And there is a link on there to my fundraising page for the Himalayan Trust, which will obviously help. That's all areas and actually now, and obviously I think obviously now for them their kind of big goal is obviously long. So now they've been massively kind of impacted, and it will take them a long time to obviously build again. And then, you know, actually And I said, right now, I actually need our help as much as they can. So please, help you can. I've raised £5,500 so far, but I want to raise probably 10,000 by the end of the year. So any help at all,
I'm sure you will. And
will be appreciated.
just to wrap up, just as a little bit of backstory, if you do go to Alex's website, which is alexstaniforth.com,
or bigmoose.co,
and read his story, because Alex is a victim of bullying, had a stammer, and has basically beaten those things very well. And to be talking publicly and to be able to talk on video, as he's just done for us here today, I think is pretty amazing for a 19-year-old young man.
It's
so good luck with everything, and thank you very much
Thank
indeed
you.
for telling people what you've been up to and what actually happened on Everest. And from Big Moose, thanks very much indeed.
Still broadcasting.
Sorry, didn't know how to